To go back to the very beginning, I was born on August 10th, 1942, in Wethersfield, Connecticut, a small suburb of Hartford. That date put both my sun and moon in the sign of Leo. Now, I don't take astrology too seriously. I don't make daily decisions based on charts or planets or any of that. But there's no denying that from the time I was little, my Leo personality was in full bloom. From what I've heard, the sun in Leo means that you go out into the world and you shine. And that behavior was always instinctual to me. I was full of energy and enthusiasm and had my own special kind of appeal that wasn't at all determined by my looks. I was never the kind of pretty that would make every head turn when I walked into a room, that's for sure. Instead, I relied on my bubbly, oddball personality to make my way in the world. I distinctly remember one instance of that from when I was a child. I was home after school. My sister and brother were at opposite ends of the living room, both studiously doing their homework. I walked into the room and out again and back again, the whole time walking on my hands, my feet in the air swaying as I tried to keep my balance. I kept this up for more than 30 minutes until my mother finally toppled me over and said, "Betsey Lee, stop that." I looked up at her from the floor, confused, and said, "I can't. It's not perfect yet." That was my peculiar drive in a nutshell. As bubbly as I may have been, I was also what my mother called a worrywart, which I thought sounded so ugly, but she was right. I would literally lie in bed at night and fret. It wasn't just the typical monster under the bed situation. I was just an insecure, scared little girl. I remember I had this irrational fear of dying, which came seemingly from nowhere. My mother would ask me what I was so worried about, and I didn't know how to answer. What made it all the worse was that I didn't even know how to talk about it. The fear was very real to me. I couldn't accept that I was actually going to die in the end. Whatever and whenever the end might be. I used to tell my mom, I better not die before Christmas, which was my favorite time of year. My mother, in her own way, trying to reassure me, would say, "We're all going to die someday." I didn't feel any better. Her response just fueled my anxiety. If I were to play an armchair psychiatrist, I would have to say that World War II had something to do with my dread. The war was in full swing when I was born. I do remember hearing war reports on the radio as a child and seeing scary pictures in the newspaper that I didn't quite understand. The war didn't directly threaten our safe little corner of Connecticut, but I guess the specter of some kind of Nazi boogeyman permeated the collective consciousness in a way that even little children couldn't escape it. My father would tell us stories of his role during the conflict. He was what was known as a blackout man, responsible for going around the neighborhood and making sure everyone had their blackout shades down after sunset. I found it creepy that my dad, who was sweet, kind, and so full of life, had to make sure everyone in town was sealed into darkness every night. I could also attribute my anxiety to the moon and Leo part of my nature. And by that I mean when my Leo moon would kick in, oh, crumb, it'd come along with a pail of water to pour all over my sunny side up. From very early on, I understood that I had a choice. Did I want to choose the light or the dark? I wanted the happiness and the sunshine. I usually found it easy enough to shake off the dark and get back into the light. Wethersfield was at that time a very small, tight-knit community, the type of place that had neighborhood vegetable gardens where everyone knew everyone else. Women would get together once a week for sewing bees. My mother actually hated sewing, but she joined in to be sociable and to learn to sew clothes for her children. It was cheaper for her to make our clothes than to go out to a department store to buy them. Every year she'd make matching back-to-school dresses for me and my sister. They were always plaid and had little puff sleeves and sashes and bows.